Dr. Sarah Chen's voice crackled through the communication system as the submersible descended into darkness on October 15, 2023, in the Mariana Trench, 7 miles below the surface, reporting depth reading 8,000 feet and descending, with all systems nominal, while beside her, marine biologist Marcus Webb pressed his face against the reinforced viewport, marveling at the absolute darkness, broken only by occasional bioluminescent creatures drifting like ghosts, and admitting after 15 years he still couldn't get used to how everything just disappears. As in the rear, technician David Torres monitored sonar displays, pilot Elena Rodriguez maintained descent rate, and geologist Dr. James Hartley reviewed the acoustic data, revealing a two-regular, intentional signal pulsing 3 short bursts, 3 long, 3 short. SOS, whispered Elena, though David insisted nothing was down here with no wrecks or prior expeditions at nearly 36,000 feet, corrected quietly by Marcus as nothing human, but definitely something. Until the lights flickered, plunging them into darkness before red emergency lights revealed a massive football field-sized shape rising on sonar, prompting James to shout, "Dive! Dive now!" as Elena released ballast for a steep descent matched effortlessly by the precise mechanical shape that soon stopped, hovered, then descended past them, leading the way, realized Sarah, to a hovering position at 32,000 feet, where the crushing pressure could compact steel into powder, and David's shaking voice noted the strengthening signal, meaning they were close. They continued another tense, silent hour with the SOS pulsing constantly in headphones, as Marcus noticed the complete absence of expected amphipods or deep-sea fish, grimly suggested by Elena that maybe they knew something we don't. Until at 35,800 feet, breaking through suspended sediment, they beheld a flat, featureless ocean floor, dominated by a massive 1,000-foot-tall obsidian cathedral of sharp angles, impossible geometry, light-absorbing material, and writhing, hurtful symbols, breathed, "Oh my God," by James, and deemed unnatural and impossible by Sarah's struggling scientific mind. With the SOS emanating from inside and Marcus pointing to a perfect circular doorway at the base, glowing faintly, sickly green as a matching hull vibrating pulse made it clear it knew they were here, though David's plea to report to the surface yielded only static from Elena, who realized communications failed the moment the structure appeared on sensors. And with power too depleted from the evasive dive for ascent, needing 4 to 6 hours to recharge, James noted internal heat, possibly tappable, overriding David's insanity accusation with Elena's quiet assertion that entering to recharge was their only choice or die when life support failed. So the decision was made. The submersible eased through the circular opening where lights barely penetrated, but walls pulsed with green bioluminescence amid writhing symbols. David, reading an impossible artificial oxygen-nitrogen atmosphere at 68 degrees Fahrenheit, despite the depth's pressure. Dismissed by Marcus as everything here being impossible yet present, opening into a vast chamber lined with hundreds upon thousands of human-sized cylindrical pods, whispered, "What are those?" by Elena. Marcus maneuvered the submersible closer to one of the pods, revealing through its translucent surface a human-shaped figure that prompted Sarah to breathe, "No, that can't be," before confirming it was once human, clad in tattered remnants of an antiquated diving suit with a corroded metal faceplate, identified by James's database check as a Mark V helmet, obsolete since the 1970s. And as Marcus panned along the rows, every pod held a body, some in ancient suits, others modern scuba gear, a few in World War II military uniforms recognized by Sarah, leading Elena to wonder how long this place had been collecting as the SOS abruptly ceased, replaced by a distorted, thousand-layered voice pleading, "Help us! Trapped! Can't die! Can't wait! Help us!" in mixed, modern, and ancient accents and languages, causing David's shaking hands to record while declaring the pods kept them alive, a notion Sarah called impossible without conviction, until Marcus suggested they might no longer be entirely human. Just then, a nearby pod glowed brighter, with its occupant pressing a withered hand against the surface, milky, blind, yet aware eyes visible through the scarred helmet, as the voice warned, "Run! It comes! It always comes!" Prompting Sarah's void-directed, "What comes?" answered by the chamber flooding with harsh white light everywhere and nowhere as a vast, incomprehensible entity unfolded from impossible angles at the far end. A tangle of multi-dimensional limbs around a writhing, hurtful void, eliciting James's "Go, go, go!" though Elena was already spinning them around to flee through the passage amid a scream like reality itself tearing, bursting into open ocean only to see the shifting entity pursuing on sonar, yelling David, "It's gaining!" as Sarah commanded, deploying all countermeasures, flares, noisemakers, to no avail until it halted at the structure's edge, bound by an invisible barrier, realized Marcus, as the structure imprisoned it, not the people, finished Sarah with, "And we almost let it out!"
"And the people in the pods?" David asked quietly, answered by Sarah's hollow voice as anchors, living anchors, their consciousness used to maintain the seal. Every person who's ever come too close incorporated as batteries to contain that thing. Just then, the radio crackled with Captain Morrison's louder, underlaid whisper, demanding return to the structure for coordinates to retrieve something, met by Elena's firm, "Negative, we're ascending," despite his order and her retort to court-martial her from the surface before the radio died. At 15,000 feet, systems failed, lights dying, engines sputtering, life support alarming as Elena fought controls, realizing remote shutdown from the surface. Confirmed David, while Sarah manually overrode at the access panel, warning it would take time, but the shuddering sub began sinking, with Elena shouting lost propulsion as they plummeted past 16,000, 18,000, 20,000 feet toward the waiting structure until Sarah's "Got it!" roared engines back and Elena angled upward, halting at 22,000 feet, barely 10,000 above the prison, prompting Marcus's demand to know why Morrison wanted them back. As David monitored Nautilus chatter revealing the entire crew infected by their transmissions, explained Sarah, as the entity being informational, a propagating pattern through consciousness spread via observation and data. So all exposed were compromised. The seal necessary because direct breach contact was permanent, unlike resistible mental infection. Though Elena noted they'd need the surface first, where the crew waited, sonar pinging 3 descending Nautilus submersibles to force or destroy them, leaving one hard burn to surface for Elena's power check. Agreed Marcus to die escaping rather than returning, seconded Sarah, as Elena initiated with all bracing for evasive maneuvers. The nightmare ascent, so relentless pursuit, parting them back, while Elena dodged like a combat pilot and Sarah with James deployed countermeasures. Observed Marcus as capture not destruction, since it wanted them alive for its collection. Until at 10,000 feet, a grappler nearly caught them, broken free by Elena's roll, but not before radio callers whispered, "Return, join us, become eternal, you've seen the truth, you cannot unsee." Too late, shut off by David's yell as the parasitic words burrowed, felt Sarah as pressure and alien thoughts confirming their infection from seeing and hearing it. urged James to fight and resist despite shaking voice as Elena passed 5,000 then 3,000 feet with pursuers lagging perhaps from pressure or weakened influence. Nearly free at 1,000 feet, sighting Nautilus's shadow until it descended, flooding ballast horrified David to sink with them. 47 aboard per Elena to stop them, or already dead piloting inhumanly per quiet Sarah. Until Morrison's clear, desperate voice radioed from sealed forward compartment that others had changed and were breaking through, instructing portside surfacing for his emergency raft deployment to cut line and escape, admitting his own infection from Data but holding off to save them. So Elena surfaced portside amid listing water, taking Nautilus deploying raft, warning Sarah of seconds once hatch open, finished Marcus as they clambered out, hearing Morrison's no longer human screams, while James cut line, David motored away, and Nautilus sunk with crew in unknown, intentional, or forced descent. Rescued 3 days later by cargo ship responding to beacon, its suspicious captain accepted their sinking story and radioed authorities. During voyage, they packed it in cargo hold near Sarah to conceal truth lest sharing recordings spread infection. Agreed Marcus to destroy all data. David incinerating notes, James wiping drives, Elena crushing memory, except Sarah's kept symbol photograph to remember and watch for spread, despite protests. Bitterly noted James, as they were already infected with constant ocean-pulling whispers. So Sarah vowed to daily fight, documenting symptoms for resistance as long as it took per Elena's lifelong question. Debriefed at port with simple failure, breach, lost tale, skeptically accepted without contradicting evidence for release. Separating but weekly contacting to monitor whispers and dreams. Marcus first broke 6 months later, midnight calling Sarah. He couldn't fight, shown beautiful transcendent invitation, not prison, lying dead before her plea.
2 days later, Marcus's body washed up on an Oregon beach, drowned in water barely ankle deep. The coroner baffled that he had simply lain down and refused to rise. At the funeral, the remaining 4 stood wordless, bound by what they could never say, knowing he had lost the fight. And afterward, James insisted they had to act before it claimed them one by one. Yet Elena countered that with every shred of evidence destroyed, they could warn no one without spreading the infection. So David whispered that maybe oblivion was the only cure. Never speak, never think, let it fade. Though Sarah knew the entity needed no memory from them, having waited millennia in the dark and destined to wait long after their bones were dust. 3 years on, Sarah Chen sat alone in her apartment, recording this warning and confession. Only she and Elena left of the 5. James ruled an accidental balcony fall 2 years prior. David vanished last summer with his car abandoned by a marina. And she spoke of the patient entity that could bide centuries, of other structures sealing other horrors and other abysses, of the photographs she kept that let it tug at her mind, of whispers now drowning her waking hours and dreams bleeding into reality, of the choice she left the listener to share and infect or destroy and doom the next curious souls, before reminding that the ocean keeps its secrets best when left alone, that the abyss stares back and sometimes follows, and as the tape clicked off, a faint SOS pulsed 3 short, 3 long, 3 short from somewhere in the building, or perhaps only inside her skull, where the difference no longer mattered. With the recording lay a final note. Elena had died that morning of a sudden stroke, too young for her years. But Sarah knew the entity had taken her, leaving Sarah the last witness who half wished to dive back into the dark and silence the whispers, yet refused to grant it victory.
so a loaded pistol waited in her desk drawer. For the moment, reality and influence blurred beyond recall, certain the structure and its prisoner would endure until the next inevitable explorers heard the siren SOS, praying they proved stronger and wiser, though knowing humanity's fatal curiosity would drag them down all the same, signing off forever with the plea to shun the deep and ignore the dark's unanswered calls.